let's get into it. Christian Romero, as of last night, Atalanta accepted Tottenham's €55 million bid, which, according to Romero, 50 million plus 5 million add-ons. Atalanta finally accepted the bid after Demiral and was pretty much confirmed. He's about to go to Atalanta on loan. Let's move on to the next story. And the next story comes from Matt Law of The Telegraph. And he's talking about Harry Kane, who again, obviously today hasn't turned up for another day of training. As expected, he's expected to turn up at the end of the week. However, Matt Law claims Harry Kane is currently in Florida and is expected back in Tottenham training by the end of the week. The striker missed a second day of pre-season training, but Spurs sources believe he is planning a return over the weekend. And he went on to say that Harry Kane believes the whole for anger and rage over him missing training has been overblown, and that's what Harry Kane is saying. He's currently isolating, which is it's very difficult to know what the truth is, because first of all, we're hearing from yesterday in the morning from Charlie Eccleshare, Kane is missing training and he doesn't intend to come back to training unless a transfer is secured and sealed. Then we're hearing from the Daily Mail, Sammy Mockbell, that he is isolating after a trip from the Caribbean, and he's going to be. He can't return to training until he gets a negative test at the end of the week. However, he purposefully came back late, which is why he has to isolate, and he's going to be back late from training. So it's not a sense of a misunderstanding. It's a sense of he purposefully came back from holiday at a certain time so that he'll have to isolate and can only come back at the end of the week. And now we're hearing from Matt Law that he's in Florida and he's only going to be back from Florida at the end of the week, and that's why he's going to be that's why he's going to be isolating after a trip from Florida. So it's a lot of conflicting reports. I'm not really sure what the truth is or where to go. It's hard to get your head around what's true and what's not, what's being pumped out from the Kane camp, what's coming out from the Tottenham camp. A lot of it is very, very interesting. I'm not really sure what the truth is when it comes to Harry Kane. It's difficult to pass fact from fiction, really. It's difficult to separate it. So I don't know. Is he in Florida? It seems that's the latest. He's in Florida. So hopefully he comes back, and maybe when he comes back it can all get sorted. There is big breaking news when it comes to Jack Grealish today and his move to Man City. Grealish is on the verge of his £100 million move to Man City. According to The Athletic, Man City are on the verge of agreeing a deal with Aston Villa over a record-breaking deal for Jack Grealish, which would be a Premier League record of £100 million. The Athletic obviously reported in June that City were preparing a bid for the England international after negotiations began between the two clubs. Villa are on course to accept City's offer, and the 25-year-old is now set to become the most expensive British transfer of all time. That accolade previously held by Gareth Bale after his move to Real Madrid back in 2013. It will surpass the 89 million that Man United paid for Pogba back in 2016. Provided everything goes to plan, personal terms will be finalised and a medical taken before Grealish completes his move to the Etihad. This is after, by the way, last year, which Grealish signed a new 5-year deal for Aston Villa only a year ago. So only after a year he looks like he's going to be on his way to Manchester City. How this affects the Kane deal is hard to say. It's conflicting reports in terms of that, as Romero is claiming that it's going to be very difficult and complicated and unlikely that Man City are able to sign both Grealish and Harry Kane. On the flip side, you've got Sam Lee of The Athletic, who's a Man City correspondent. He's claiming that it's perfectly feasible for Man City to be able to afford Kane and Grealish, and even with the view of them selling a few senior players, they've already received some hefty fees for some fringe players already this summer. So he believes it's more than feasible they can get out that sort of outlay, and he points to Chelsea last summer, which when he says that if City were to sell Grealish and Kane, it wouldn't even surpass what Chelsea spent last summer. So it is definitely feasible. They can afford both. It looks as though this one's nearing the conclusion, nearing foregone conclusion. So I want to know in the comment section or your tweets, send in your opinions. Will the Grealish deal affect what happens with Harry Kane? I want to know what you think of the truth is of Harry Kane as well. Is he isolating? Is he in Florida? Is he isolated from the Caribbean? I want to know what people's opinions are. Obviously, we are going to be taking calls, so I'm looking forward to what people's opinions are on that. But at the moment, the latest of Harry Kane is he's currently in Florida and he's going to be back at the end of the week, and hopefully his future can be sorted in one way or another once he sits down with Harry Kane, and maybe he can have a chat with Nuno as well, and we can move forward at the moment with Harry Kane. I'm undecided how I believe we should deal with the Harry Kane situation, just because it can go either way when you sell a player for big money, like Kane for 150 million, and then you sign a bunch of players in replacement and revamp the squad. Didn't work when Tottenham sold Bale for 85 million. It didn't really work when Liverpool sold Suarez for 80 million. It didn't really work when Barcelona, they sold Neymar for 200 million. They didn't really get the replacements they needed. They bought Coutinho for 140 and they bought Ousmane Dembele for 100 million, and those two didn't quite work out. So it really is hard to spend the money. But then you got to look at Liverpool. They sold Coutinho for 140 million and then were able to spend that money on Van Dijk and Alisson and went on to win the Champions League and the league. So it all depends on Tottenham. It's hard to get excited about a potential future without Kane, even if the money, just because anything to get excited about was all theoretical. The fact that the fact with Kane staying, if Kane stays, you know what you're going to get. I'm convinced that if Kane does stay, however people think of Harry Kane and what he's doing right now, if Kane does stay, I'm sure he'll knuckle down. I'm sure he's going to be back to his best, and I'm sure he's going to try his hardest for the team when he's on the pitch. I don't believe Kane is the type of player who is going to be sulking and he's going to be on the pitch just not trying his hardest and letting a year pass him by, especially when he's 28 years of age. I don't think he can afford to let a year pass him by at this stage of his career. And I think he's going to, even if he stays another year, and he'll probably think, all right, if I do stay another year, maybe we can win a trophy, an FA Cup, a League Cup, or a Conference League, bloody hell. I don't think he'll be looking at that, but if we can win a domestic trophy, then he might see that as a good parting gift, a good way to part ways if he does leave next summer. So I don't believe, despite his actions now, if he is to be here at the end of the season, we're not going to see anything but the best of Harry Kane. And maybe it'll take a bit of time to him to settle back into the team, but I believe we will see the best of Harry Kane. But on the flip side, if he does leave, I don't know how to feel about that just yet, just because I don't know. It depends on the recruitment. It's all theoretical. You can't say it's a positive until we get the right people through the door for something that's affordable. So it's hard to say. I can't quite say just yet that I definitely would rather sell him, because selling him, it can only be a positive thing in theoretical circumstances, whereas keeping him would be a positive thing, despite the fact you're keeping a player who wanted out. I still think it would be a positive if he stays in terms of Tottenham's team next season. Are we definitely better off with him staying or with him leaving? I think we're better off. I think the only sure way of knowing the positive is him staying, because we've got a world-class striker in the team. If he leaves, yes, we could spend the money and revamp the squad, but that's all theoretical. Do we get the right people in? Our club's going to hold us to ransom because they know we've got 150 million for Harry Kane, and we know we've got money to spend. Is it even feasible to get all the players that we need to properly revamp the squad for that money? It's all theoretical. There's so many moving parts. So I want to know people's opinions, if it's definitely a positive thing if we get the money, or is it definitely a positive if we keep Kane. I want to know what people got to think, but that's the latest anyway on Harry Kane.